Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome to the channel. This is Range Day Bro. Just wanted to go over my do-it-all AR-15 right here, the Daniel Defense Mark 18. Surely there's no shortage of videos of the Mark 18 on the internet, but what I wanted to do today was kind of go over my build, my setup right here. In fact, it's not a build. I bought it as a complete gun, but there's a reason I bought this complete from Daniel Defense, and we'll go over that today. But let's just, without further ado, get right into it. So. Let's start with the rear of the pistol. So as you can see, got a SB Tactical SBA4 pistol brace here. This comes standard with the SBA3. However, I actually swapped it out for this pistol here over my shoulder because I prefer the look of this SBA4 on the Mark 18. A little bit more of the iconic look on it there. So there's that stock standard, I would say, Daniel Defense buffer tube. Backplate, including a QD socket, really nice machine backplate on this. Everything you'll see, the fit and finish on this is phenomenal. But everything from top to bottom is just well done, as you can tell. If you've ever shot a Daniel Defense, then you'll be able to speak to that as well. Show clear for all you safety guys out there. But moving forward from there, you have a properly staked castle nut here on the back of your buffer tube. And then moving forward, you have your Daniel Defense ambidextrous charging handle here. There it is. There's the angle I'm looking for. When you pull the opposite side, still releases that and allows you to go ahead and operate it. So you can see it's Daniel Defense. And the cool thing about Daniel Defense, actually, and what I'll do here to show you this, is I'll actually pop the rear takedown pin so that I can pull this out and show you. So the Daniel Defense bolt carrier group, obviously properly staked, very well done on the staking of the gas key there. As you can see, you'd expect nothing less from Daniel Defense, but very well made. Bolt carrier here is actually very, I wouldn't call it stiff, but it's very secure in comparison to some of the other bolt carrier groups I've used, including BCM. I mean, I love the BCM, never had issues out of it, but it does give you a little bit more of a playing sensation. There's a little bit more play in there. Whereas in the Daniel Defense, it is just rock solid, very smooth all the way in, all the way out. So no complaints there. But what I was getting at with the charging handle is actually, I didn't realize this until I looked into this further, but there's actually a little port here on the side of the charging handle that actually throws the gas from your, if you're using this rifle suppressed, it'll actually throw the gas out to the right away from your face as the shooter. So a really, really nice feature that I didn't even realize Daniel Defense offered when I picked this rifle up. So with that being said, let me throw this guy back together and then continue with the review. So moving up from there, it does have a forward assist. I don't know how you guys feel about forward assists. I love them. It's really nice just to give it a little slap, make sure that you're all the way in battery if you're ever shooting in adverse conditions. That's very nice to have. Does come with a ambidextrous selector switch. Very much a mil-spec type selector switch, but as you can see, it's operatable from either side, lefty or righty. I'm not a huge fan. The one thing I will complain about this gun, the one thing that I consider changing out is this selector switch, because there's just a little bit, the slightest bit of play there. But me being the perfectionist that I am, that bothers me. I'd rather it just be click, snap, boom, as it is on this guy, the Radian, and this guy just boom, snap. There's no play whatsoever, and when you snap it in, it's just, and it's crisp and it's audible. So I like that a lot more personally, and I am thinking about changing that. Speaking of changing that, the only other thing that I would consider upgrading on this gun outside of that Radiant selector would probably be a Geisley trigger. Now, the one I have in that is a competition trigger, Geisley Super Dynamic 3 gun, I believe it is. I know a lot of guys will say you don't want a competition trigger in a duty or home defense gun. I disagree. I think that if you're gonna have your finger on the trigger, you should already have made the decision that you're ready and you're willing to destroy whatever you're aiming at. So therefore, I don't really subscribe to that form of thinking. I think that if you train yourself to have proper finger control, then when you flick your safety off and you put your finger on the trigger, that's when you can be certain that you're ready to take action. So otherwise, a really great gun. This trigger was really gritty when I first got it. Now that I've put several hundred rounds through it, it's loosened up and it's smoothed out a lot. Shooting about 1.5 inch groups of 50 yards just with this setup in the sandbag, not going for super precision, just sighting in the EOTech, which we'll get to in a second, but pretty darn accurate out of a 10.3 inch barrel, which is one of the strong suits that Daniel Defense has always boasted is their barrels, cold hammer forged barrels. Here I have the Dead Air Chemo on it. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, so let me hop back down to the upper and lower receiver, which don't know too much on the specs on those, so I won't get into it too much, but you can just see the fit and finish is just absolutely phenomenal. It says MK18 on there, which is obviously really sexy. Who doesn't love that? Daniel Defense. And just really well fitted. Some upper and lower receiver groups have a lot more play than this. I mean, I love Palmetto State. They do have a lot more play than this. There's still a good amount of play in this. Not gonna knock that. There's definitely some play here, but you're not using this as the Mark 12 trying to reach out and shoot bad guys at 500 yards. This is more of a home defense, I would say. Any kind of urban environment, I think you're good to go. Really, really solid hits out to 300 yards with this and in. But other than that, the way I got it outfitted, I mean, obviously you got the quad rail. I won't go too much more into the specs of the Daniel Defense. Most of you guys know it's the Daniel Defense grip here with their overmold. Little DD logo on the bottom. I think it's a little cap there. I have actually never popped that off. I assume that's a little compartment for storing oil or whatever you want to keep in there. But I won't beat up the details any longer. I know you guys have probably seen a million videos on this. You probably already bought one of these or waiting for it to come in, or you have one, you're sitting in your living room like me, just hanging out with it because it's a lot of fun, and let's be honest, it's really expensive and time consuming to go to the range all the time. Not to mention if you clean your guns every time you shoot like I do, that gets to be a lot too. So hanging out with them on the couch is a lot of fun as well. So I'll just get into the setup real quick and why I kind of did what I did. So starting from the back, I'll start with the bare bones, and that is the iron sights. Back to front, I guess. I have a rear fold down M-Bus Pro, which just pops just right up like that. As you can tell, it is super slim. You guys probably didn't even notice it was there because it's kind of hard to see against my Micro 3X there, but it folds right down and it is super flat laying. And when I kick my next object I'll go over, which is the Micro 3X over, the Vortex Micro 3X Magnifier, it goes right over the top. I mean, there's plenty of space. I mean, I got thick fingers and I can fit my whole finger in there pretty much. Definitely a whole pinky, maybe not an index finger, but it fits perfectly. It lays right flat. I just love the look of it. It looks like it's part of the gun. It looks like it's built right in. So that is the perfect addition, in my opinion, to the rear of the gun, especially when you're running lower 1/3, which I have here. I have the, EOTech EXPS 3-2 in tan. So I had to read that because there's a lot of different configurations, but the E essentially stands for the quick detach EOTech, which this guy has right here. It's a QD, but it also stands for, that also signifies it's the lower 1/3 co-witness. So when you have your irons up, or when you have a fixed front sight post like we have here, the red dot, the holographic in this case, and the front sight post will not completely co-witness. I'm sure you guys have heard of what lower 1/3 co-witness is, but I'll roll in some footage here of what that looks like, what the dot looks like. But the EXPS 3-2 stands for, the 3 stands for, good question, what does the 3 stand for? Night vision compatible, that's it. So the 3 is the night vision compatible version, meaning you'll see this button right here on the side, which says night vision next to your up and down arrows. And then the E stands for the lower 1/3 co-witness and the quick detach. And the -2 signifies the type of reticle, meaning it's got a 2-dot reticle, which on the 5.56 signifies a 100-yard zero and a 50 and 200-yard zero on the first dot, and then a 500-yard zero on the second dot. But it matches up great with the Micro 3X. It is, in my opinion, the best looking combo and the best functionality wise as far as for home defense and or urban type environment like where we live. If we ever had a situation where I had to be shooting out past 50, 100 yards, I can positively identify targets and make sure that I know what I'm shooting at, right? Which gets me into my next object moving forward, my top rail, which is the Surefire. This is the Scout 1500 lumen, I believe. Don't know too much about the specs on the Surefire. I just know that it is right next to my flash hider, and it takes quite a beating from it when I don't have my suppressor on it, which is most of the time because it's still in jail, waiting to get out of jail. But I digress. It is super bright, and I don't have a pressure pad. A lot of you guys love pressure pads. Sorry for blinding you. But I just leave it just like that with a tail cap. It's waterproof, and the way this Magpul angled foregrip or angled hand stop, whatever you want to call it, works on it. It puts my thumb in the perfect position right here so that if I needed to actuate it, I can just bring my thumb from the top of the bore right to the light, and then I can do momentary, or I can click it, leave it on, whatever needs to be done. But there's no need to run a pressure pad. I don't have a D-ball. I don't have night vision yet, hopefully one day, but there's no reason to run a pressure pad and add unnecessary wires to the situation here. So, but as I mentioned a second ago, got the Magpul angled foregrip, I think it's called, AFG. I'm not sure what gen it is, but it's really comfortable on this, and I got really big hands. So just for comparison's sake, there's the pistol. I mean, my hand is pretty big. So this quad rail is already pretty thick. And I know a lot of guys don't like how thick the quad rail is on these. They like the thinner, more streamlined handguards. But with this angled foregrip and this quad rail in the size of my hand, it just fits like a glove. It is perfect. It's just so comfortable to shoot. It's just where my hand naturally wants to lie as well. It is honestly perfect. So besides that, I'm running the Daniel Defense little rubberized rail covers that it comes with. Those are pretty badass. Big fan of those. And on top, I just ran a Magpul. Don't even know what that's called, but it's Magpul. Sure, you guys could find it out there, you internet wizards. But up front, this fixed front sight post is actually Midwest Industries. As you can see here at the front, that is a really great value on Big Daddy Unlimited. Under 50 bucks, like after shipping, probably more like 60, but really solid, well machined. I can't speak highly enough of it. That in combination with the Magpul folding rear, these EOTechs are bomb proof, but if I'm a dummy and my battery dies, then and I need something, I have something. That's my setup. I mean, I think that's pretty much everything. I believe I covered it all. Oh, I'm running a Blue Force gear sling here. It's the Vickers combat application sling. This comes as no surprise to most of you, I'm sure. It's one of the best slings in the market. It's the only sling I spend my money on. If I'm gonna buy a sling, it's gonna be this Blue Force gear with Vickers Tactical stamp on it. It's phenomenal. You wanna adjust it, you throw it on, and they have this quick throw right here. You could grab it and tighten it down so that you can cinch it and shoot with a really stable, just pulling the sling into your body. You just, boom, send your elbow down, and then you're good to go. Or if you want to swim out, boom, pull that back, swim out, then you can trade arms, whatever you need to do. But huge fan of this sling. As they say, and by they, I mean guys who have a lot more experience with these things than I do. The sling is like a holster for your pistol, rifles, whatever you're running, whatever configuration you're running. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's it. I'll roll in some B footage of the Mark 18 because it is just such a sexy gun. I've wanted one of these for a long time. Here she is in all of her glory. Again, we're running the Dead Air Chemo flash hider, Surefire Scout 1500 lumen. Got the Midwest Industries front sight post. Got the Magpul top rail cover and the Daniel Defense side rail covers here, as well as the Magpul angled foregrip. Just a Magpul P30 Gen 3 window mag, and then the EOTech and all of its sickness. It took me a lot of years to save up for this EOTech. I will say this about the EOTech and also about the Vortex Micro 3X. Just save up if you have the patience. I know it's tough. I did the same thing myself. I bought Holosuns, and it's nothing against Holosuns. I freaking love Holosuns. In fact, I only run Holosuns on my pistols. But for rifles, I had a Holosun, which was great. I'm not knocking it all, but I do have astigmatism, and the Holosun would always leave a little starburst out there for me, whereas the EOTech, when I throw this magnifier on there, or without the magnifier, is just so much more crisp to me. And I always heard it was the opposite, so that was very surprising to me. But save up if you can. Just buy the EOTech. It is so quality. It's such a quality optic. I mean, the fit and finish, it's just sexy. Plus, if you ever did need to really put it to use, it could take a beating. As far as the Micro 3X, obviously neither of these optics have taken a beating, but this thing is pretty badass as well. And when you magnify the EOTech, because it's a holographic, it doesn't actually increase the size of the reticle, so your dots are still 1 MOA even when you're at the 3X zoom, and it makes it really nice for precision shooting and just really plinking and just having a good time. It's a great all around. If you had to buy one, this would be the one I'd recommend. And then buy yourself an 11.5 or 12.5 inch upper if you want to go a little longer, or a 13.7 and pin and welded, whatever you want. And then buy yourself a 300 blackout upper, and then you're good to go. You have a 30 cal and a 5.56. And also, one other thing I'll mention is with the chemo, if we're not talking about suppressors in this video, but if you're going to go with the suppressor, I do have the Dead Air Sandman on the way. So that is Sandman S, and that's a 30 cal can. So it will work on your 5.56, and it'll also work on a 300 blackout if you do so choose to build a 300 blackout upper. I know a lot of you guys are just getting into this, and I was in your position just several years ago, looking into kind of where to get started when I moved to Texas. It opened Pandora's box for me, and I've never looked back. But there is a lot of information I wish I had then that I know now. It would have saved me a lot of money, a lot of time, and just all around a lot of heartache and regret, buyer's remorse. I'm sure you've all felt a little bit of that when you bought the $400 red dot that you thought would be the shit, and it turned out to just be a piece of shit. So with all that being said, appreciate you guys watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm a very new channel here, and want to start doing this just for the love of it. I end up watching so many hours of YouTube videos of guys out there doing what I want to be doing. So I just said one day, fuck it, I'm gonna start doing these because I have some information, and hey, hopefully you guys like what I'm putting out there. So if you do, drop me a like, give me a subscribe, and look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.